Hello, hello, and good morning, everyone. I hope you're all doing well and having a great start to your Tuesday. I say good morning because I am here in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. It's about 11 a.m. local time. I like to start every webinar with, well, really a couple of housekeeping items first. Before I do that, though, can somebody please let me know in the chat tab there on the side? Can you hear me? Can you see me? How's the audio? If somebody could just let me know in the chat tab, that would be phenomenal. I see Andrew typing, Hassan typing. It's great to see you both. Great to see you both. Hope you're doing well and having a great day so far. Awesome. Thanks for letting me know. Dayon as well. I'm sure you're letting me know too. I really appreciate it. Awesome. Guys, I wanted to go back to my bit of an icebreaker there. We do this at every workshop. I always love to see where's everybody tuning in from, whereabouts in the world are you, what time of day is it? We always love to see international folks joining our workshops. Andrew, I know Boulder, Colorado, super excited to see that one. Hassam, I believe you were saying UAE, awesome to see folks joining from abroad. Overland Park, we've got UE, 5 p.m. Wow, London. Great to see you, Lucy. Thanks for joining us. Awesome. Well, hey, really appreciate it and really excited to have everyone joining here. A couple of housekeeping items to go over as we do with all workshops here. Also, I do want to give people that might be running a minute or two late the opportunity to jump in. But let's go over a few items that are important for everybody to know who's in attendance today, especially if this is your first workshop with us. Just a few sort of housekeeping items about how the user interface works, how you can engage, and what to expect. So first and foremost, you've all already discovered on the right side of your screen, there is a chat tab. If you want to connect with some of your colleagues here in attendance today, feel free to drop your LinkedIn profile to engage with the content, whatever you got to do. If this is cumbersome and you do want to hide this, you can actually collapse the chat tab as well. Sometimes resolution is a bit of an issue with these workshops when we dive into Unity, bandwidth issues, frame rate, bit rate, all of that type of thing. So if you do collapse that chat tab, it does give you a bit of a bigger image, which is sometimes helpful. Up at the top of that chat tab, there are 4 tabs that you can see, and there's 3 that I want to call your attention to. So we've already referenced the chat tab, which is great. Very to the right of the chat tab, you can see the questions tab. We do ask that if you have questions throughout the workshop, please paste them into that tab rather than directly into the chat. We are going to be doing an in-depth Q&A at the end of today's technical presentation. And for that reason, since questions do typically come in throughout the workshop, we want to make sure that we're organized and that we can get to all of them. So please do paste them there if you do have questions. And the last one is the polls tab. So periodically, with warning, I am going to drop or publish a poll via that tab. So please do take a moment when I drop these polls into the workshop tab there to submit your vote there. It really just helps us gauge the audience experience, understand what type of experience you have, what you're looking to learn, and that type of thing. So we've only got a couple today, but I will provide a bit of warning. And this is for mainly the international folks here. As with all workshops, we do record our webinars. So this is live the first time, but for all the folks who signed up that couldn't make it, or for all the folks who are here now that have to log off, it's supper time, lunchtime, you got a meeting, whatever the case might be, if you do have to jump off, don't worry, the recording is going to be sent to everyone. That usually comes, let's call it 2 to 3 hours after we wrap up the live session. My colleague Dayon, who you can all see in the chat, who's saying hello to the few of the folks here, he's the one who handles that. So you are going to be getting the recording delivered to you, as well as any assets that my colleague Indica is going to be demonstrating today. I believe today we're sharing a few tutorials and that type of thing rather than project assets, but I could be wrong there, so I'll let Indica tell you differently. Lastly, in terms of an agenda, what to expect, how long this workshop and webinar is going to last today. I believe today is a bit of a shorter presentation, so we will probably run Let's call it about 90 minutes all in, including the Q&A. Of course, depending on how many questions you have, because we do want to make sure that we're answering all of your questions. We're going to take about 15 minutes here to introduce today's workshop, CircuitStream, Unity, just to really set the expectations for what we're all going to be learning today. At that point, I am going to be passing over hosting responsibilities to my colleague Indica, who's currently backstage. He's going to be running through the technical content today, talking about XR design principles, best practices, and the like. That should take probably, let's call it 30 to 45 minutes, give or take a few. At that point, I'll come back in and conclude things as we always do, and we'll do the Q&A session at that point. So without further ado, let's get started. Hello again, everyone. Welcome to CircuitStream's webinar. We're so excited to have you today to be talking about the principles and best practices of XR design. My name is Kyle Nichols. I'm the education lead here at CircuitStream, and I'm going to be your host or narrator for today's workshop. I bring to the table about 3 years of professional experience spanning across the sports industry and now the emerging technology industry in the lovely world of VR and AR. We always like to share a little bit of a fun fact about ourselves at these workshops, and mine is that, yes, I am an NBA basketball champion. Back in 2019, when I was working with the Toronto Raptors, I did get the opportunity to take part in the NBA championship festivities, and it was one of the coolest, craziest memories of my entire life, and a story that I absolutely love to tell. For any folks that are here in Canada today, we're not going to talk about the Toronto Maple Leafs loss last night. I'm in denial, so please, let's all just let that go. Typically, we have one of our friends from Montreal, David Jumeau, join these workshops, and I'm sure he would love to tell me about the Leafs loss last night, but we're going to let that slide for today. I mentioned my colleague Indica. He's going to be joining us. He's actually all the way in Sri Lanka. So Indica, I'm not sure what time it is. Maybe you can drop it in the chat there. I'm sure it's late in the day for you, but we're so excited to have you join another workshop with us. Indica is one of our course instructors here at CircuitStream. He brings a wealth of experience in the immersive technology industry and over 5 years as a professional developer and instructor. Now, in Indica's case, I use this joke every time. I'm sorry if it's getting old. Some people like getting caught in the rain, but not Indica. He prefers getting caught up in conversations about emerging technologies and the latest devices in the market today. And again, we're so excited to have him join us for another workshop today. Now, who's CircuitStream? Well, we are an educational company that was founded in 2015 when we noticed a gap in the personalized training and educational space in the immersive technology industry, and specifically covering XR, which is an umbrella term spanning the virtual, augmented, and mixed reality spectrums. As of early fall 2020, we've actually supported over 35,000 individual learners in XR and in Unity. And if I'm not mistaken, Dayon, you could probably correct me here. We're actually approaching 40,000 individual learners, and I believe that we're on pace to hit that mark this year. And that's something that we're so proud to have accomplished in the past 6 or so years that we've been teaching. And these learners have taken part in workshops and webinars just like today, our courses over the years, whether in person at conferences or virtually, as we do with the programs that I'm going to chat about today. And again, this is a really awesome milestone, and one that we are so proud to have hit. CircuitStream is also a Unity authorized training partner and channel partner too. I'll speak more about this in a minute, just to give you all an idea of what that is. But for now, it's just important to know that we have a really strong relationship with Unity. We've actually created training content to support their learning programs in the past as well. And it does also mean that Unity recognizes the programs and certifications we have to offer. In addition to Unity, we're also an Oculus certified independent services vendor and Microsoft mixed reality partner as well. And today in 2021, I actually think that this graphic is a little bit outdated. In fact, I don't believe I see Indica on here, so we definitely got to get that corrected. But today, we're a team of about 20 to 25 experts coming from all over the world, from different backgrounds, to teach folks of all skill levels, really, about the value of this technology and how to build apps within Unity. Now, coming back to the Unity certification. So again, CircuitStream is a Unity certified training partner. And for all of you in the audience today, or for anyone considering learning with us, this is a really important certification that you should consider when seeking education in the XR space. So what exactly is that? What does it mean? So training partners are companies that are approved by Unity, that are based on their expertise, their focus on quality education, and their commitment to providing the highest level of training available today. And so for you, just know that we strategically partner with Unity to collaborate on creating educational training content of the highest quality for people of all skill levels and for their companies worldwide. So above all else, we're an educational company. And as you can see here on screen, we've had the privilege and the pleasure of working with some of the world's largest and most exciting companies. And given how quickly the world of VR and AR is accelerating, the biggest companies in the world are taking notice and are innovating with this technology. So how does this all manifest itself? So what do we actually do, and how can we help you? Well, we have an academic portfolio of free online workshops and webinars like today, and also a portfolio of courses that we offer, which are all designed to help students learn how to build, design, and develop VR and AR content within Unity. These courses are mainly for beginners, but we do also offer a more intermediate or advanced course for folks that are already proficient in Unity or potentially in programming with C# as well. In fact, there's actually a couple of current students in the workshop today. Andrew, I've already mentioned, who's learning with us today. So I'm sure he'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have about our programs, which again, I'll cover in depth here in just a moment. So we offer 3 main courses here at CircuitStream. Obviously, there's only 2 on screen here, and these are the 2 that focus on XR development. The other, which I'll speak about in a moment, is more focusing on XR design, which is sort of the subject matter that we're covering today. But you should know that at both the developer and at the design level, there is a beginner-friendly 10-week part-time online course that we offer. And at the development level as well, we do have the more intermediate or advanced program for folks that already have that proficiency in Unity and in programming with C#. All 3 of these courses are supported by a shorter 3-week Intro to C# scripting course that we've built, but more on that and on the bundles that we offer combining these courses later. Another quick note, I think it's important to say here on both our development and our design courses. The subject matter of what we're teaching in the programs, it's not unique to any one piece of hardware. So it's not unique to an Oculus device or a Microsoft device or an Android phone or an iPhone. Really what we're teaching you is a collection of fundamental skills and best practices that go a layer deeper and are generally applicable to most devices on the market. Okay, getting specific, the course on the left, the XR Development with Unity course. This is our flagship course. This is our most popular program. It's where we recommend that most beginners start. What is it? Well, it's a 10-week online course that includes 40 hours of live training over that 10-week span. It's definitely beginner friendly. And on the development side, it's our more beginner friendly course. And again, it's where we recommend most people start. In terms of the schedule itself, so there's actually 2 90-minute lessons per week where we go over the best practices and fundamental skill sets that we believe all beginner developers should know. Complementing those 3 hours worth of class per week, there's also a weekly one-on-one appointment that can be used however you like. So whether you need extra help with class material, or whether you've got an idea for a project that you want to build, or whether you want to learn something that might not actually be taught in class, this is all fair game, and this is something, these are all examples of things that we would love to help you focus on in these appointments with instructors just like Indica, who you're going to meet in just a moment. Now on the right, the XR Project Accelerator course is built in a very similar fashion in terms of the delivery. The major difference here is that you actually get 2 1-hour one-on-one appointments per week on top of the 3 hours of lessons. So it's a total of 5 hours per week over the 8 weeks. And I'm just realizing now that on screen I've got it at 48 hours. My apologies, it is 40. Again, this is a similar structure in terms of what we're teaching. It's just more intermediate or more advanced skill sets, best practices, and techniques for developing XR content. Now, more recently, we have come out with our brand new interaction design and prototyping for XR course. And this is the 10-week beginner-friendly program for all the designers out there. We've taken everything that we know about teaching beginners fundamental skill sets in XR, and we've built another 10-week course around these core concepts. The schedule operates in the exact same way as our 10-week development course, but the major difference here is that the course includes no code whatsoever. So rather, we're teaching the fundamentals of XR design, as well as how designers can prototype XR content in Unity without code, without having to program the interactions yourself. I don't want to spend too much time on all of this right now, but just know that after Indica's presentation today, I will come back on stage here and we can revisit this topic pretty quickly. One last thing that I want to cover before passing things off. You might be asking yourself at this point, what makes us different from other companies out there? What makes us different from other educators? I've already mentioned this, but I think all of our students and alumni would agree. It's really the one-to-one support that's included in the program, and also that's included after our programs as well. We really fundamentally believe that the best way to learn something new is to get hands-on and to get your hands dirty by building your very own prototypes or projects for your portfolio with the help of an expert that's going to meet with you every week. And having the opportunity to work on your very own project for your portfolio is a major benefit, and that's what our students love most about learning with us. For the record, we do also offer one-to-one training packages with our instructors if you want to learn without a preset curriculum. So effectively, you can purchase a set number of hours with our instructor team if you're looking to learn or get project support without also attending class with us. So it's kind of your come one, come all opportunity if that's what you're looking for. The final academic offering, if you want to call it that, in the portfolio that we offer is our team training opportunities. If your company is considering investing in this technology or is looking to have a group of folks upskill in this space, we would love to work with you and your team to create really a customized training program designed to suit your specific needs and challenges, assuming that they aren't met by any of the programs that I've already mentioned here today. So these are boot camp style sessions, and they're great because they teach specifically what you need to learn to maximize the value of your company's investment and innovation with this technology. So in this space, just for your reference, we've had the pleasure of working with organizations like the American Navy, Walmart, VMware, and then more recently, just earlier this spring, BMW as well. Okay, moving on. Now that you know a little bit about us, let's talk about Unity if you're new. I've mentioned them quite a few times already today, but I do want to be sure that we're all up to speed here. And before I go on to discuss this, I am actually going to publish our first poll here. So if everybody could navigate on over to the polls tab, I'm just going to drop it in right now. And we always like to ask this question to get a better idea of the average sort of skill level of folks with Unity already. So here's the poll. It's been published. You can all navigate on over there now. But on a scale of 1 to 10, or 0 to 10 rather, how experienced with Unity are you? We always like to ask this question again to get a better idea of where folks in the audience sit. Okay, so it looks like today we've got a mainly beginner audience, and that's totally okay. So, you know, to the beginners in the room, this slide, or these next couple slides are definitely going to be for you. So what is Unity? Well, Unity is a development engine. It's a program that can be used to create both traditional 2D and also real-time 3D content, aka AR and VR content. The long-term service or LTS versions of Unity are completely free, and these are versions of Unity that we use in our courses. So effectively, these are more stable past versions of Unity, pre-update, that you can leverage in a free manner to be able to create your content. For the record, there are developer licenses available for purchase on an annual or monthly basis with Unity. This unlocks additional content for you to use. As a partner, we are authorized to facilitate these purchases for you or your team if you wish. But again, for the purposes of the courses that we teach, they're not required by any stretch. In our opinion, Unity is definitely the program that's the most beginner friendly if you're looking to get started by making your own XR applications. Just to give you a very, very, very simplified overview of how you bring your ideas to life, we've got this simple flowchart here. So starting from the left and working our way to the right, like anything, all of these applications, games, training content, whatever, they all start with an idea. From there, you actually need to build your assets and bring them into the Unity environment to be able to create immersive interactions so that your user can engage with those virtual objects in a VR or AR space. And the way that you power these interactions are by using scripts created using C#. For the record, you can use other programs like the XR Interactions Toolkit, which is an asset package that you can download, which is basically a library of preset scripts that you can leverage as the developer to make your job more efficient. In that scenario, it's almost like you don't need to code at all. Given that today's a design workshop, for all the designers in the audience that aren't interested in using code, this asset package, XRTK for short, will definitely become your best friend. I don't actually know if Indica plans to leverage it today, but it is something that we can talk about more in depth later on. Anyways, getting back to the idea here. Once you've actually created your build, you've built out exactly what you want within Unity, you need to leverage what's called an SDK. And an SDK stands for Software Developer Kit. Imagine a funnel. You've got your build in Unity that you're happy with. You've built it out appropriately. To actually get it from Unity onto your target device, whether it's the Oculus Quest, the HTC Vive, the HoloLens 1 or 2, or an iPhone, for example, you need to squeeze your build through this hypothetical funnel, which is the SDK, to be able to host it on your applications. And there you go. That's it. Obviously, it's more complicated than that, but that's a very, very simplified version of how to get from point A to point B. So today, what are we going to talk about? What are you going to learn? Well, today, Indica is going to be discussing the impact and potential for XR applications across multiple industries, really just demonstrating how limitless the ability to leverage this technology is. He's also going to be talking about directionally the trend that user interfaces and experiences are going, and also how to leverage leading principles of UX design in the realm of XR. With that, let's go ahead and invite Indica on stage here. Again, folks, pleasure, honor to have Indica here. He's really, really an expert, and it's awesome to have him join us for another workshop. The last thing I will want to say, if we are going through a technical build today, please don't try and keep up at home. We actually recommend that folks just be an active listener, follow along, and again, you're getting the recording. So if we are going to be doing a technical build today, just take notes, ask questions, do whatever you got to do. And we would recommend not trying to keep up and follow along yourself until you've got the recording. So if Indica is backstage here, let's see if there's something going on here. Indica's still joining. I think he's having a bit of technical difficulties here. Okay, Indica still joining. Let's see what the scoop here is, folks. No, Indica, we cannot see you, unfortunately. 1 minute. Okay. I'm just going to scroll through the chat here. see if there's any questions. Oh, Kevin has a good question. So, it looks like Dale answered, but just to add some additional light here. So Kevin, we offer the 3 courses here because some of our courses are newer than others, and we're constantly changing and tweaking them. We define an alumni as somebody who's already taken one of the 10-week course or the more advanced accelerator course that wants to do an additional course with us. And for the new XR design course that I referenced, our first cohort actually starts in a couple of weeks. And for that one, we are offering alumni 50% off for that course in case they want to continue their learning with us. Oh, Indica, we had you there for just a second, but it looks like you jumped off. Any luck there, Mr. Indica? Oh.
Can you see me?
There you are. There you are, Mr. Indica. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Glad we were able to sort that out.
Oh,
awesome. Okay, well, hey, it's already a late night for you, and I don't want to make it later. I'm going to jump right off. It's all yours, my friend. Go ahead.
All right, awesome. Thank you very much, Kyle, for backing me up until I get my issues fixed. I hope you can hear me and see me very well. If you see me and if you hear me, I'm audible. Just put it in the chat. Awesome. Cool. So I'm going to share my screen. Let me share my screen right over here. Awesome. There you go. All right. Can you all see my screen? All good? Yeah, there we go. Awesome. So, as Kyle said, today we're going to be talking about the XR design principles and best practices. When it comes to XR, right? We can, why we call it XR is because it all started with something like augmented reality, and then people talked about virtual reality, and then some people talk about mixing both and trying to create something, some sort of a mixed reality thing. So we have like AR, VR, mixed reality, MR. So we combined all together, and we talk about XR as a whole component. So if I want to spend my time in terms of talking about a lot of XR design principles and best practices, I can go into a deep down conversation with you guys for about like 2 to 3 hours, but I'm not going to do that. So today, what I'm going to do is I'm going to focus only on one particular subject, right? Today, I'm going to focus about augmented reality. So let's go ahead. There we go. XR, which goes to augmented reality. And today we are going to be talking about some of the best practices on developing good and robust AR applications, to give much more robust user experience to the users. And also, before that, I'm going to give you a little bit of an introduction to augmented reality, the platforms and all, and and how you map the real world and the virtual world. Right, so you can get a little bit of an understanding about how augmented reality works in a 3D environment. And also, I'm gonna just pick 10 best practices. So when you are designing some of these AR applications in the future, then maybe you can revisit this and see those best practices and put that into your own project. Awesome. Right, let's get started. So when it comes to augmented reality platforms these days, right? Augmented reality platforms, I believe you have a little bit of an understanding about what augmented reality is. Augmented reality is basically, you have the virtual world in front of you, and sorry, not the virtual world, the physical world in front of you, and using the help of another device, you spawn some elements on the screen, right, on top of these physical objects, right? So virtual reality is basically you put yourself into a virtual environment, something like this, the Oculus Quest. When you put it, you cannot actually see what's around you, right? But in augmented reality, you can see what's around you, and on top of that, you'll be able to see everything, all of these 3D models and 3D objects and everything. Right. So when we talk about augmented reality platforms, these days, right, in 2021, we have Apple iPhones, Android devices, and also we have HoloLens devices where you can wear. And then we have Lumin, the Magic Leap, which is another platform which is really similar to HoloLens. Apart from that, there are a lot of glasses, AR glasses in the world. For example, very recently, Snapchat released a new AR glass, but I don't think that's really available for the consumers. But it's the same technology, it's the same theories that they use. The thing that differs between the wearables and the mobile phones is that the wearables kind of have their own spatial awareness platform. In ARKit, in iPhones and in Androids, they have their own SDKs and some sort of hardware support so that you can create AR applications fairly easily on them. Right. So my talk today is highly focused on ARKit and ARCore because this is the easiest. This is the easiest way that you guys can design augmented reality applications. Right. If you have a laptop, if you have a computer with Unity installed, and if you have this device, you just within a couple of hours you can create your own AR application. Nice. So when it comes to designing AR applications, developing AR applications, as Kyle said before, first of all, you have to think of an idea, right? And then using some sort of a platform, you have to build that idea into a reality, into an application, right? And then you can deploy that application either to an iPhone, to an Android, or to a HoloLens, or to a Magic Leap, right? When we deploy this, project, when we deploy our solution to iPhones, we need to leverage the SDKs known as ARKit, right? Similarly, if you want to put it into an Android, we need to use something called ARCore, right? And also, if you want to build something to Microsoft HoloLens, then on top of Unity, we need to use the Windows SDK. Similarly, to Magic Leap, we need to use something called Lumin SDK. So today, I'm just going to focus on ARKit and ARCore, right? So, so when it comes to Unity, right? So, back in the day, if you want to build something like that, then you have to use all of these SDKs. But now, Unity came up with a really cool idea. They actually created something called AR Foundation. Right? So this AR Foundation leverages all of this other SDKs, such as the ARKit, ARCore, the Lumin SDK for Magic Leap, and also Windows SDK to HoloLens. So ultimately, what we have to do is to basically create the AR application using Unity, and we can use this thing called AR Foundation in order to create your application. So I'm just going to go into Unity a little bit, and I'm going to show you how you can install this AR Foundation and all the other packages. So let me go and open up Unity. So basically, if you have a little bit of an experience in Unity, you might know that this is the whole interface of Unity. And if I want to convert this to an AR application, the first thing that you have to do is you have to go to Windows Package Manager. And in the package manager, you'll be able to see, in Unity registry, you'll be able to see if you search for AR, there is something called AR Foundation, right? You can just click it and you can install. AR Foundation doesn't work without the supporting plugins, right? In this case, I'm building for Android, as you can see right here. If I'm building for Android, then I need to download the ARCore XR plugin. But if you're building for iOS, you have to use ARKit XR plugin. ARKit. So this is basically for iOS. ARCore is basically for Android. Anyway, so if we jump back to our presentation, right? So whatever the SDK, whatever the tool that you use, there is a basic principle when it comes to AR applications, right? So what happens here is that the AR application uses the phone's camera, right, and then project it inside this Unity engine, right? So As you can see here, you can see this table, right? And this table has a flow. And on top of the table, you can see this wooden airplane and also this tree, right? So I call this as a sample AR view through the camera, right? So what happens here is the physical camera of the mobile device, it will capture what's around you and then projects that as an image into the 3D world. It's a virtual world. And so I'm going to demonstrate this much better. So I'm going to jump back into Unity. I'm going to close this, and I'm going to enable these two guys right here. All right. So just imagine this is the 3D space, and imagine this. When you go to a film hall, you can see that it kind of like projects everything on a film hall. But look at this, right? Look right over here, right? This is what your device sees, right? This is just imagine that this whole area is as the output screen of your device. So what happens here is that when this is running inside this application, whatever that you see from the physical camera, it will be projected. And at the same time, any 3D model or any 3D object that you put inside this scene will be rendered in front of this. And the rotation, the scale, and everything will be aligned. So when you see it through this, let me add a cool color. Okay. So when you see it through the camera, you can see that everything is an illusion. You can see that this box is like really on the table, right? On the table. So what happens inside here is that when these AR applications detects these areas, like using some of the machine learning algorithms and all, which we don't need to deep dive into. So they will create virtual planes in the screen, right? Virtual planes. So if I go back into this presentation, you can see that this same thing can be represented like this, right? So this thing is the AR camera, right? The actual camera that this is a camera, right? So this AR camera kind of like moves when you move your device, right? So this is where your camera is, and also we call this as the AR camera. So inside Unity, these virtual planes will be created based on the surfaces that you have. So when you spawn 3D models and 3D objects in the scene, right, you can reference these virtual planes as planes, and then it will really be easy for you to spawn different 3D models on top of the virtual space, right? So it can contain like multiple virtual planes, or it can contain like just a single plane. However, when you start the application with the camera, it will create a random anchor for you, right? Random anchor on the screen, and based on that, your camera will be like you'll be able to move your camera with your device. So what happens here is, now look, when I move my camera, right? When I move my phone to this space, my camera, AR camera in the virtual space also moves with me, right? So what ultimately does is this AR camera allows you to freely explore the virtual world, right? So what is the main importance of building AR applications, right? If you can, use your phone to like visualize a 3D model, and what is the difference with that and using an AR scene? So you can just, look at this 3D model from different sides, different angles, right? So this is what, this is why AR is more important in the field, right? It allows you to freely move around the world, right? And freely move your camera just like this around itself to, to visualize whatever the 3D models or whatever the 3D content on the screen. Anyway, so that's pretty much it for how this AR is rendered on the screen. So if we talk about design practices and in augmented reality, I'm just gonna take about 10 base practices, and I'm gonna explain them. Right. So the first practice that you need to consider is the safety of the users who are using your application, right? So if you design an application, an AR application for Apple or Android, and if you put it in the store, they will immediately reject your application if you don't show them a safety warning, right? You have to show them a safety warning saying that, AR apps can be engaging, but please mindful about your environment. Please don't don't keep looking at the screen all the time, because you might trip over, right? There are a lot of cases that people have, like, with the mobile phones, they have like tripped over, and some bad situations might have happened. So as you can see, if you are familiar with Google's AR navigation, exactly, walking into walls and etc. Yeah, awesome. So yeah, there you go. So you need to inform the users, right? For your safety, keep your phone down when you're walking, right? Yeah, Andrew. Yeah, cool. Anyway, so that is the most important part, right? And also, you need to be mindful when you're designing 3D elements and stuff, right? For example, if your 3D environment is really big, right, and then sometimes the user might need to like go back, go behind in order to explore, right? So in that case, you can use some of the things that Unity provides to show a warning sign saying that, hey, don't walk backwards, right? Put down your phone and walk backwards, and then just look at this. Anyway, so that is the first best practice. And the other one, the second one, is showing users what to do in the simplest format, right? So you can create like the best AR application in the world, but it doesn't matter if your users feel confused of what they have to do, right? So the first thing that you should do is, these things, they don't like immediately provided by this AR Core and AR Kit SDKs, right? So in order to create a better user experience, you can leverage the use of animations, sprites, and scripting inside Unity to create some engaging visuals like this, right? So basically, when you open up the camera, you can show a user interface screen with a small animation saying that point your camera and rotate your device so that it will be really easy for the SDKs to understand the world around you, right? So that is how it understands the world around you. Okay, because I have seen some people, they don't have a clear idea about how AR works, and they open up the application and then just hold the device still. So when you hold the device still, it cannot identify the world around you, right? It cannot identify the surfaces because it uses the movement to detect the certain certain properties of these surfaces to identify them. So you have to mention them to the users in the simplest format. And then, as soon as it starts tracking the surfaces, then you can get rid of this UI and then show the surfaces pretty much. Okay, so that is the second best practice. The third one is that, to create room for more exploration, right? So the basic idea of designing an AR application is that the ability to freely move this camera around so that you can visualize. If this 3D model is a teeny tiny object, right? I don't think that AR is I don't think that there is much more of a use case by doing this in AR, right? You can just visualize it on the surface itself so that you can move around and visualize. But if you're thinking about an AR application, it's better if your objects and everything is big in size so that people will be, the users, they'll be engaged with the whole experience, right? With all these objects, they can move the mobile phone. Oops, back. All right, they can just move the mobile phone around, and this whole 3D object is like fairly big, so there is like a lot of room for exploration. Cool. The fourth one is the use of visual markers. Imagine this whole thing, this whole screen that you see is the mobile screen, right? Sometimes you might want to create different experiences such that the focus, the focal point, the focus object can be out of the screen, just like this, right? Flew. The butterfly just flew away. So when it happens, you need to mention the user, hey, look over here, right? So we call them as visual markers, right? And then using the visual markers, you'll be able to easily navigate the user towards the focal point. So we call them as visual markers. You can use the Unity's canvas and a little bit of a programming to understand, with respect to, for example, if I go to Unity, if this is your, so let me get a copy of this. If this is your focus object and this is your camera, you can check whether this is inside the viewport. And if it is not, you can just, just spawn an arrow, right, by the side of the screen. Hey, look at that. Look at this side, right? So we call them as visual markers. So in SDKs like HoloLens, they provide something called MRTK, Mixed Reality Development Toolkit. So these toolkits, they already have these visual markers. So it's, if you are like more into designing, you can just make use of them rather than just trying to, code your, develop your own thing. Awesome. Right. The fourth one. So this is, I think, the fifth one. This one is, I think, one of the biggest things, right? When you're designing your AR applications, it is much more important to be mindful about the scale, right? So when you're building your AR experiences, you need to, even before you're making this experience, you need to plan whether your application should be visualized on a tabletop or in a room space, or else in the outdoor space, right? Applications like Pokemon Go, they're not designed to be, they're not designed to be played inside. They're designed to be played outdoors. So when you're playing it, you can see all these Pokemons are really big in size, right? They're really, really big in size. Even if you try to do it on a tabletop, right? The Pokemon might be like, bigger than you anticipate. So you need to be mindful, and you need to scale your experience so that it can navigate to either a tabletop or to a room or to an outdoor. When scaling, so this is the most important part. When scaling in AR Foundation, so let me get rid of this too. Let me enable this. Right? When scaling, there are various ways that you can scale. So if you look at this, right, there are like 3 cubes. If you check this cube, it's like 0.05 in scale. This one is in 0.2. This one is, just 1. So basically in AR Foundation, it is not recommended to scale the whole thing. It's not recommended to scale the whole experience just like this. That is mainly because now if you look at the shadows, right? So this shadow, it's fairly okay, for a cube, this shadow is good. But if you focus only on this, the shadow is a little bit less in quality, right? If the cube is super tiny, the shadow can be super tiny. So the tabletop experience might be so different from the outdoor experience. So you need to be mindful when you're scaling. And scaling like this is not recommended by Unity, right? So there is a really good article or a forum post by Unity that is provided. I think it's it's from Unity. They say that scaling can be a little bit tricky, and if you want to scale your whole application to map either a tabletop or whatever it is, the only way that you can do is by scaling the AR session origin, right? So the AR session origin, basically you can take it by going to the hierarchy, go to XR, AR session origin. So, when you're designing AR Foundation applications, this is your camera. This is your AR camera. You can see that there is something called AR camera. So when you're scaling things, what you have to do here is, instead of scaling the cubes and all of these 3D models in the screen, you can scale the AR session origin. So this is how you have to do. So this whole article, it shows you how when you're scaling it up and down. Now look at this. When you're scaling the whole experience up and down, what happens actually is that the virtual camera, the virtual parameter distance of the camera kind of like moves far away. So the actual experience is not scaled, right? But the camera itself goes like, the distance of the camera just goes backwards to scale it down. So that's how it works. No need to like, deeply think about it. Just get the idea that if you want to scale an AR foundation project, you can just scale up and down the AR session origin, right? So that's an additional point that I needed to add. All right. Nice. So that is the fifth one. So let's go ahead to the sixth one. We have the derp Batman, right? Okay. So imagine that you are creating, cool AR experiences, and imagine that this is an oven with some sort of hidden secrets inside, right? Now that you have you have freedom to move your camera, right? You have freedom. Just look at this. And if I have this cube, right? If I take this cube, that's my camera. I can freely move this camera around, right? So look at what this. Let me get rid of this AR session origin. All right. Look what happens here, right? I can freely take my camera inside this cube. Ta-da! And maybe your experience might have your application might have secrets inside which you don't want them to see, which you don't want the users to see, right? So in that case, what you have to do is, right, let's just look something. I wonder what's inside. Let's peek inside. Let's peep inside. All right, I'm really getting good with these animations, right? So what you have to do is you have to immediately block. You have to immediately block the derp users, right? So how to do that? You can easily use canvases, right? You can use a UI canvas or a panel, we call, right? And you can immediately use the, increase the panel's opacity and tell, hey, this is not a good place for you to like peep in, right? Immediately block the UI, block everything from the UI. So this is something similar, right? You can blur the screen or you can darken the screen. And at the same time, you can, show something saying that, hey, please move your camera out of this area, right? So that will actually create, some good experience for the users so that, they know that this is not supposed to do, right? So that's one way that you can allow the users to roam everywhere, but not to roam around, but not everywhere. All right, so that is the sixth one. And the seventh one is really important if your AR application is about manipulating objects, right? For example, think that you're building an AR-based museum, right? And you might want to show a lot of artifacts on the screen, right? So, and sometimes, I've met with some of the students who are like struggling on how to implement this, object manipulation, like when they have like multiple objects in the scene, how you manipulate the rotation, the scale, and the position of each and every object, right? So basically, I'm just going to give you really simple ideas. First one is you can use the tap functionality to select the object, right? For example, if I tap this, like this, you can show a little bit of a visual cue saying that this is the one that is selected. Or if you tap this, it will highlight this object, right? It will highlight, right? So you can select the object by tapping on the object itself. And how you move them across the scene. The way that you can do that is by tapping your finger, not tapping, like keeping your finger and dragging them across the screen, right? When you do that, it will as it has always identified this virtual plane. When you drag your mouse or the touch or the finger, right, you can go back and forth. You can just move the object away. So to do that, right, be mindful that you have to keep your finger on top of the object, There you go. Nice. All right. And the other one is scaling up and down, right? So one way you can do is first you have to select the object and using multi-touch, right? Using your 2 fingers, you can pinch up and down to scale it down. Oops, scale it down and scale it up. You pinch closer to scale it down, or away to scale it up. Nice. But since this is selected, you can either use the object or the screen, right? Even if you tap on the screen and do it, since the application know that this is the one that has been selected, it can scale up and down. Scaling up and down, side. Yeah, awesome. Sorry. Okay. The other one is rotation. So this is where a lot of users feel lost. Rotation. How do you rotate? If you want to rotate this, some people try to rotate this by tapping on the object to rotate. But what happens here is that we already have that input, right? When you tap on the object and drag on the screen, instead of rotating, it will scale, it will like move it up and down, or through this virtual environment. But if you want to rotate, select this, and instead of tapping on the object, tap somewhere else. Tap on the screen and drag like this, sideways. So when you do that, this thing can easily rotate, right? So there are like basic conditions that you should check, right? If that condition is a tap, select the object. If that condition is a drag, then check whether your finger is on the object or not. If it is on the object, then move. If it is not, then rotate. And then check the number of touch inputs, right? If you have more than one touch input, then check the distance in between those touches. And based on that, you can scale it up and down. Cool. Nice. So, be mindful when you're like building some sort of project like this. Right. And the other one is that since you have all these, 3D models and, 3D objects in the screen, when you move these objects far, far away, right? When you move these objects far, far away, what happens here is that the touch point, the touch area of an object, it gets smaller and smaller and smaller, right? So when you wanna select an object that is far, far away, since that touch area of that object is now really small, you might not be able to select it, right? So what you have to do is, if we know about the colliders in this Unity engine, you can make use of these colliders, and when they move far, far away, keep the touch area of that object as it is, right? As you can see here, this is the correct method, right? When this object moves far away, increase the size of the of the touch area. This one, it's okay, but it's a little bit bad because when it goes far, far away, the touch area will be smaller. Cool. Right. Then let's go to the 9th one. Visual cues for everything, right? Since you're building an AR application, right, you have limited space to show everything, right? You have really, really limited space. So one thing that you can do here is you can use tooltips, you can use arrows, curved lines, animations, and everything to show something like this. If you have a 3D model that is in the AR application, basically you can use something like this, tooltips. And for example, you can enhance them as well. When you take your camera closer to this object gets like fairly bigger, right? When that happens, you can easily scale up these tooltips and give some more information. Right, so this is one way that you can engage the users and also to share information to navigate the user throughout this experience. Right, and I'm going to show another example for this. Imagine you have two objects, right? This is a log, part of a log, and this is a leaf, right? So when you compare the scale, when you compare the size of the log and also this leaf, not the size, the weight actually, right? The weight, the log is, it's obvious that this log is fairly, heavier than the leaf, right? You can use these line renderers, right? These lines when you want to move these objects. Just imagine that you want to take this log up and also this leaf up, right? When you do that, you can visualize Even if that log and the leaf in the same position, you can visualize using a curvature of a curved line, right, to depict that this thing is heavier than the leaf, right? Just look, both of them are in identical places, even after like lifting up, but you can feel that this thing is a little bit heavier than this one. It's kind of like when you go fishing, and when you I don't know the names of the fish, but if you catch a very small tiny fish, the fishing rod will be like this. And if your fish is like, if you catch a boot or something that is filled with water, then your fishing rod will something be like this. Awesome. Right. So that is one way that you can use visual cues to navigate the user experience much more better. And the final one is about user interfaces. You are building an AR application, right? Not a game, or not a trading platform, right? You're not building a trading platform, so you don't want to show you a lot of graphics in front, right? If your AR experience is behind the screen, and if you have a lot of user interfaces on the top of the screen, that's really bad. That actually, that gives the experience away, because the user's focus will be on user interface elements instead of the actual experience. So what you should do is use minimal objects, maybe just a single button, right? Or another menu, which will show you just a couple of features like this, right? Minimal UI on the screen so that you can focus on the actual subject, which is the AR experience, right? Another thing that people do is, now imagine this is the AR experience, and if this is the phone, right, they show you pop-ups, right, covering the whole thing, right? And this is, I don't say that this is wrong, but it's the user experience of this is not good, right? Instead, what you can do here, exactly, it's super annoying, right? If you are experiencing something, and if some sort of UI that pops up like an advertisement, it's super annoying. But what you can do here is you can take this whole screen space user interface to the world space, right? To the world space like this, and show it behind the subject, right, in the world space. So the user can navigate the mobile phone towards this world space UI and interact as they please, right? Use the world space. All right. I guess that's it. This is a really, really small workshop. I wanted to share some of the best practices that we use when we are building AR experiences, right? So let's get this butterfly fly away. Thank you very much. I think Kyle can join, and I think I'll be able to answer your questions.
Awesome. Thanks, Indika. I really, really, really can't stand those pop-ups. That last point really, really resonates with me. So I'm glad you brought that up. Okay, guys, give me just a sec here. I'm going to reshare my screen. Okay, sorry, just half a second there. Okay, can everybody hear me, see me? The screen looks good. All that we're all covered here. Awesome. Tori, great to see you. Thanks for letting me know. Awesome. Really appreciate it. And Indika, once again, really, really great presentation today, man. Really awesome to have you join. Your insights are awesome. Whenever you can sequentially list out, benefits and best practices and tips, it's super, super helpful. And for the folks in the audience, I hope you enjoyed learning from Indika today. Again, he's one of our instructors who, teaches some of our courses and also handles many of the one-to-one lessons included with our courses as well. As a reminder, that all will be recorded. So if you want to go back and revisit his talk, that will be sent out to everybody who signed up today to attend, regardless of whether or not they could actually make it out to the event today. Okay, last poll from me. So if everybody could head on over to the polls tab, this one's really, really important for us. On a scale from 1 to 10, how likely are you to recommend this workshop to a friend? This is the one that really helps us to improve our content. optimizing when we offer the workshops throughout the day, what kind of content we're teaching, which instructor is teaching which subjects. So please do take a moment to answer that poll. There is going to be a survey that goes out at the end of the workshop as well. So if you wish, obviously not required, please feel free to leave us some feedback there as well. We love when there's suggestions from the audience. So again, thank you in advance for that. Moving on, just again, setting the expectation, I'm going to take about 5-10 minutes here just to revisit some of our programs to reposition, what we do relative to, today's content, for example, and then we're going to have Indica back on stage once more to go through a Q&A session in depth. So again, our 10-week XR development with Unity course, this is the program we recommend to most people. I've already gone over the content, but again, just to breeze through it once more, 40 hours total, part-time, fully live, fully online, complemented by weekly one-on-one appointments. Our next cohort is set to begin on the 6th of July, so a little bit over a month away. You can see the tuition price there is $3,950 US as well for this course. I am going to talk about our bundles in a second as well. I believe it was Alice had a great question about a headset and whether or not that would work for one of our courses. Alice, this one's for you. I am going to go over the bundles in just a second. Again, we've also got our newer interaction design and prototyping for XR course. Our next cohort begins in just a couple of weeks. So we're actually a week away yesterday for the registration deadline for this particular cohort. But we do have another one happening. I believe it's in August. The full schedule can be found on our website, though, as well. Exact same structure, 40 hours, all live, including lessons, as well as being complemented by one-on-one appointments. Really great course. If you are an alumni, if you have taken a paid course with us in the past, we are offering alumni 50% off for the first cohort of this new design course, which would apply to, you could always defer to August, for example, as well, if you do want to get signed up by before the registration deadline next week. Last but certainly not least, we've got our more advanced developer track course, the XR Project Accelerator, 5 hours of class per week, which would be further broken down to 3 hours worth of lessons, structured very, very similarly today, where we're teaching more advanced content for developers in the realm of XR. And then you've got your 2 weekly one-on-one appointments. Next cohort here begins on September 14th. For all of our courses, we do offer payment plans as well, whether you're doing an individual course with us or you want to bundle it up. I'm just realizing now, folks, I'm so sorry that I accidentally deleted our bundles slide from this workshop. My apologies there. But what I was going to say was we do actually have bundles. I'll run you through them really quickly right now. We've got one that we call the starter pack. The starter pack includes 2 courses and an Oculus Quest 2 headset. So the idea is that you can pick between either the 10-week development course or the 10-week design course. And regardless of your choice, you will also get access to our 3-week C# scripting fundamentals course, which we believe is a great opportunity for developers new to the world of C# and to Unity to get some extra help on those topics, on those best practices and techniques for developing with C# code in Unity before diving into the 10-week course. And then if you choose to go the designer route, regardless of the fact that our 10-week program doesn't have any code built into it, we still think it's a really good idea for all designers, and specifically XR designers, to have those fundamental skill sets in C#, so that if and when XRTK, for example, you are limited by that tool, you won't be limited by the fact that you don't have any coding skills to back it up. So really important either way. And then in both cases with the starter pack bundle, the Oculus Quest 2 headset is included as part of your tuition. assuming that Oculus can ship to your location. Best part about this bundle, in my opinion, it's the same price as the 10-week course on its own. So both of our 10-week developer and design courses, they're $3,950. The starter pack bundle is the same price, and these payment plans on screen that you see are totally in play as well. So feel free to do a payment plan if you want to do the starter pack bundle. We have also built a very, very similar bundle for the XR Project Accelerator course. In this case, obviously, you're doing the more advanced Accelerator 8-week course, but you'll also get the C# Scripting Fundamentals short course as a bit of a refresher that you can take whenever you'd like, and the Oculus Quest 2 headset as well. And again, it's sold for the same price as the Accelerator course on its own. Pardon me. And again, I do apologize for not having the slide to back this up. Totally a mistake on my part. Now, how to actually get started, the admissions and that type of thing. On screen here, you can see CircuitStream's admissions team. Obviously, you've already met me. I've been your host today, but my colleagues, Steph and Brendan, are my counterparts on the educational team here as well. So feel free to get in touch with any of the three of us. If you've got questions about the course or any of our courses, if you want to chat all things XR, talk about your learning goals, anything like that, we're very, very involved. So feel free to get in touch with us if you want to have a friendly chat about any of this. As far as the enrollment process goes, we would help to facilitate that process for you. So if you do want to get started, just get in touch with us, and we can help to facilitate that process as well. You can definitely reach out to us, directly on the website if you want to download a syllabus for one of our courses, submit an application so that we can get in touch with you. There's a live chat function there, or maybe at this point you've already heard from one of the three of us via email or for a phone call. Feel free to just ping us, whatever method is easiest for you. We are happy to chat and happy to help out. So with that, let's get Indica back up here on stage. If you do have questions about any of this stuff for the folks who made it this far, please feel free to drop your questions into the questions tab, and we will do our best to get to all of them. So Indica's back. I'm just going to remove my screen share here. Indica, great to see you again. I see that right in our chat, you mentioned to Kevin that you're going to give some examples of MR use cases there. So what are your thoughts there? Let's start with that.
Yeah, awesome. So imagine that you are an architect, right? And you want to show some of the visualizations of the buildings that you have designed, right? And at the same time, you wanna list them down in a single tabletop, right? So you use a system like the HoloLens, and there is something called HoloLens Mesh, so that a couple of people can collaborate. And what you can do here is inside the office on the tabletop, you'll be able to visualize all of these buildings as a whole, right? Imagine you want to go into one of these buildings and to visualize how the inside of that building would look like. What do? Do you want to peek inside the building with with your headset on? No, right? You can just select one and allow itself to expand and enable virtual reality, right? So you used to be in augmented reality, and now you want to immediately switch into virtual reality, right? So what would happen here is that the tabletop elements can go away, right? And the one that you have selected, it can, the whole system can turn itself into a VR application, and whatever that you see will be in a virtual world, right? In that specific building, So that is one sort of an example. There are very limited use cases that you can do in terms of MR. So MR is basically mixing AR and VR together. So that is one cool example.
And Indica, correct me if I'm wrong. You're definitely more of the expert in this space than I am. I've seen a few videos online where, the user will be interacting in a VR space, but then for third and fourth onlookers, bystanders, there will be a monitor displaying what they see. Would that be an example of MR as well, where we have insight into the user's
Yes.
reality?
Yeah, that's actually a really good example. We cannot say that it's like fully mixed reality, but what happens here is that you have multiple cameras in the virtual space, and that one of these cameras can be attached to an actual physical camera outside, right? So they can have a green screen, and what happens here is that whatever that is coming through the green screen can be replaced by whatever the second camera sees in the virtual space. So with that, you can combine the virtual space and show what the virtual show what the person in the VR space see through another screen. So it's kind of like a mix. We call that as mixed reality as well, but it's another type of mixed reality. So there are various different ways that you can define mixed reality, but that's another way. So I think the HTC Vive, there was a little, there was a really cool example of just search for mixed reality with HTC Vive, and they show you how a green screen setup works with virtual reality.
Very cool. Awesome. Really appreciate you walking me through that. Yeah, that's even just as a VR user, but very much not an MR user. I've always sort of been befuddled by that sort of setup there, where there's multiple users, so to speak. Here's another question from Kevin. I'm just going to pop up the live answer here. So Kevin's wondering, how do you actually ship the content to a phone to test your prototype? So in Unity, how we've got the play mode where you can enter into VR to test, but how do you actually test your AR application?
Yeah, really good question. Really good question. So, I'm sharing my screen. I believe you can see this. So in Unity, you can go to File, Build Settings, right? And over here, you'll be able to see Android, iOS, and if you have like put support to your HoloLens and also to your Magic Leap, you'll be able to see them as well. The HoloLens is actually a universal Windows platform. But you just need to, build the application. You can connect your Android device, and you can select this and click Build and Run. So Unity will take care of everything. It will build it. It will, put that application into your phone, and it will launch for you. So that's one way. If you're building for iOS, the process is a little bit different, but fairly similar to what you have to do. You just have to connect your device, your Apple device. And you have to use an Apple MacBook or an Apple device to do that. You can just press Build and Run. It will do everything. It will create the project for Apple. It will, put this into your phone, and will open it up. Very, very neat.
Awesome.
Yes, you have to physically connect it with the USB to do that. Yep.
Awesome. I've got a question here. From Nora. And Nora, if you're still here, I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name here. I hope I've got it right. Indika, I want to hear your thoughts on this, but just to add some insight as well. So for AR and VR, I would say that typically speaking, the GPU can be the same either way. We actually posted a really good article about this last summer, and we've been updating it since then. Dayan, if you could paste that article into the chat, I think that would be super awesome for all the folks in attendance. It's just, sort of a minimum requirements, really good requirements, and then over the top, completely overkill, for setting up your computer to be able to build. But Indika, in your experience, what kind of hardware might be required to be able to run Unity well?
So yeah, good question. So basically, in order to develop applications with Unity, I don't think that a really high-end graphics card is required, because back in 2015 I used to have a really bad laptop, but I used to do something on top of it, right? So you don't need to have an external graphics card. You can use a standard system with a good RAM and also a good CPU. But if you want to test them, right? If you want to test high-end graphics, then that's going to be a problem. If you want to you want to build content with high-end graphics, that's a problem. But in terms of augmented reality, one thing that I want to mention is that AR Foundation mainly works on Apple, Android, HoloLens, Magic Leap, and all these AR-supported devices. Your PC is not an AR-supported device, and even if you build it, even if you play it, you won't be able to visualize them with your laptop or your desktop PC, right? That is because they are not supported. So you have to like put it into your Android or an iOS to test it out. But there are like certain SDKs such as Vuforia, where they provide like marker-based tracking. You can use Vuforia to build AR content that you can visualize on the PC as well. So even for that, you don't need to have a separate graphics card, like a high-end graphics card. You can use the same thing, if you have a really good, a good PC. I think I mentioned for Unity to run, it's good that you can use a PC with an 8 GB of RAM. And for macOS, it's fine if it's 4. And the CPU, it can be either Core i3 or Core i5, whatever that is. If your device is very recent, maybe like built on 2016, 17, that's fine. I guess that's fine.
Yeah, and all I was gonna say, just for reference sake, so Dayon, our colleague on the marketing team here, he just posted the article I was referencing, really, really in depth. So Nora, give that a read through, or for anybody else in the audience. I think we do a really good job in that article of describing, at a very minimum, budget friendly options, sort of mid-tier, will last for years to come, and then very, very much, over the top, high end graphics. For reference, on my laptop, I've got a GTX, I think 1660. I've got a 8 gigabytes of RAM, i7 CPU processor, and that's more than enough. It runs Unity super, super smoothly, and it was a very, very reasonably priced laptop. But great question. I really, really appreciate that one. We've got a couple questions about the courses. So I've already answered this one in the chat. I do want to bring it up. So Alice asked, I only have an Oculus Rift S, not a Quest or a Quest 2. Will this be a problem for the design course? No, Alice, absolutely not. We have many students who have a different device from a different company, or no device at all, and they prefer not to do the bundle and instead to just do one of our courses on its own, and no worries at all. Especially in the design course, we're teaching you prototyping. We're less focused on rendering and hosting and that type of thing. So a Rift S will be totally fine. The second question, Janosch, I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly as well. Again, I apologize if I'm not. Will the Quest 2 be a problem in Germany then, because you can't purchase it in Germany, or is that handled through you? This brings up a really, really interesting sort of conundrum that we've run into recently. To be honest, I have no idea why Germany is not on the supported list of countries that Oculus supports. I really, really hope, fingers crossed, that it's coming soon. We can definitely work with you to find some other opportunity, perhaps an Amazon situation or that type of thing, as long as it can get delivered to you. We're really, really flexible on getting you the device. Just for the record, honestly, I would recommend getting in touch with one of myself, Steph, or Brendan, and we can help guide you through that process. So I wanted to mention that up front. Now we've got Kevin, you've got some really good questions here. we've got a few questions here from Kevin. So Indica, this one's definitely for you. For developing an AR prototype on a phone, can I use a VR controller to add further interaction to my experience? I don't think so, but Indica, correct me if I'm wrong.
Absolutely no. Because in order for you to combine the controller's inputs, right? This is a VR controller, right? There is no way that you can connect your device, your phone, with the controller, because this controller directly calls to the Quest, right? But you can use this type of a controller like this, right? And then using Bluetooth, you can connect this controller with the phone, right? And using Unity's input system, you'll be able to get input, right? With that, you'll be able to like give more interactions. But in terms of user experience, you need to think, how do I keep both with my hand? I need to look at this, and at the same time I need to shoot, right? How do I do that? So basically, it is possible, but it's all about designing. It's all about the user experience, all about how you use the buttons and leverage them. Or maybe you can attach this phone to the control itself, and with it you'll be able to like shoot around. So that's one way. So the possibilities are endless. You just have the tools. You can use them as dynamically as you want. Cool.
Another question here from Kevin. So Kevin is wondering, do I have a chance of purchasing a HoloLens, HoloLens 2, Magic Leap to get a better test of AR apps? So I've got one interesting thought here that I want to share, Kevin, and I only recently discovered this. You can actually use an Oculus Quest like a HoloLens. It has similar worldview cameras. And so you can actually use the Microsoft Mixed Reality Toolkit, or MRTK package, which you have to for Microsoft devices, to be able to leverage your Quest in a similar way. So very similar to what Indica was just saying about using your hardware in a way that's suitable for your use case, for your build settings. You can definitely leverage other devices in similar fashions with different asset packages. My advice, don't buy a HoloLens 2 if you're just looking to test it out. It's still very, very enterprise focused. I don't think Microsoft has been shy about who their target demographic is for the device. And until it comes down in price, it's unfortunately not very accessible to your average developer or designer at home, your average consumer. The HoloLens 1 maybe, but Indica, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this question as well.
Yeah, I do think, even I don't have access to a HoloLens, but if you want to test the applications on a HoloLens, you can. Microsoft has provided a HoloLens emulator where you can emulate the same experience in a PC, but that experience is not that not that good compared to wearing an actual device. But if you are really not into like building apps through the HoloLens, I guess it's okay to use the HoloLens, or maybe to use a Quest and like simulate the whole experience. So yeah, I agree with what Kyle says.
And Dayon just mentioned in the chat just a moment ago, Microsoft is working on a consumer version for a HoloLens 3. So hopefully in the near future we see a significant price reduction. I think that's really, really wise on their part, especially with, as Indica mentioned earlier, the Apple AR glasses coming too. I don't know what pricing looks like just yet or capabilities, but who knows? Maybe it's Apple's attempt to take the consumer AR head-mounted market. But in any event, really, really cool. And I'm seeing Dan go back and forth with Janusz as well about the Oculus issues in Germany. Last question here from Kevin. I'm assuming that this is a follow-up to the last one, or do you recommend almost quote faking AR and VR for a prototype? That's kind of exactly what we were describing there, Kevin. Make a real-world scene and then use that to test an AR app more fully. Indica, I'm assuming when you were talking about the emulator, that's kind of what you were describing.
Exactly.
Based on this question, do you have any additional thoughts to share?
So basically what happens here is that even if it's VR or AR, you're building fake realities, right? So that's the whole thing, right? Even, you can be whatever you want in a VR world, right? And you can do whatever you want in an AR world. You can send rockets fly, you can send rockets up sky. So yeah, what you said is correct. So we have to show these different types of illusions to the user through VR. So it can be for a good cause, or for a professional cause, or whatever it is, right? So yeah, that's it.
Awesome. All right, folks, that's the end of the questions here. I do see Marku is typing in the chat here, so I do want to give him a quick second. But for all of the folks who made it this far, really, really appreciate you sticking around. It was great to meet you. Yes, Marku, there's absolutely going to be a recording. It's going to be sent over. Dayon will know more, but I would assume in probably an hour to 2 hours from now. But to all the folks who made it this far, once again, thank you for coming out and for sticking around to the end. We really, really appreciate it. And we hope you had a great workshop experience with CircuitStream today. And of course, have a great rest of the morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are. Stay safe, be well, and we hope to see you at our next event. But that's going to conclude today's session. So have a great one, and again, hope to see you sometime in the near future. Bye bye, everyone.